The Seattle Seahawks are beating the New York Giants on Monday Night Football because they're the better football team. And I think it's that simple. It's pretty easy to sit here and give you many different reasons of why my opinion matters, or to you it might not matter. But for me, I find it pretty simple that the Seattle Seahawks are just a better football team. And when I'm looking back at one of the things right now, before I get into all the details, one of the reasons that I really believe this team is a lot better than many other people believe is I base it off the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are clearly one of the best football teams in the entire NFL. I'm just going to simply talk about two of their 3 wins, one of them being opening night, the first Thursday Night Football game of the year, the first game of the year in Arrowhead, Kansas City, against Patrick Mahomes, and they won. And then they went into Lambeau this week on a Thursday night and won in Lambeau. Now, you could say different things like Jordan Love's the quarterback of the Packers now, or that Travis Kelce wasn't there for the Chiefs. Despite it all, the team is 3-1, and they are one of the best teams in the entire NFL. And the only loss they have is at home on their first home game of the year, where everybody, and I mean everybody, was hyped about. The entire city was hyped about, the stadium was rocking, and the Seahawks went in there and found a way to get a win because the Seahawks are a really good football team. Now, you look at week 1. We can forever look at week 1, or we can just forget about it. I mean, at some point, you got to realize there's teams like the Cincinnati Bengals that when they went to the Super Bowl that year, they started 1-2. And, some teams just lose games before they're fully healthy, before things happen. The Seahawks against the Rams was an awful loss. Don't get me wrong. But it was also a loss of a lot of unfortunate things just tumbling after each other. They had some really unfortunate luck against the Rams. Injuries just started happening immediately in the first game of the season. And our defense already wasn't a team that was fully healthy. You didn't have Jamal Adams. You didn't have Devin Witherspoon in week 1. There's a lot of people on the offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba's coming off injuries. Tyler Lockett got like a concussion protocol at some point of the game. We lost Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross, our 2 best offensive linemen. Things happen. Ever since week 1, the Seahawks have slowly found their way to get better and better. And honestly, I just think they're a much better team than the New York Giants. But a lot about the other teams in the NFL is telling me that. The Rams aren't as bad as we thought. The Lions are phenomenal and we beat them. And now the Seahawks are finally getting healthy. They're not quite healthy yet, but they're finally getting healthy. Just a quick note in the middle of the video here. If you are a fan of my channel, of the podcast we run at Seattle on Tap, you can find that YouTube here. We are running some merchandise. We have the Let's Fucking Go shirts from the Mariners game the other night, JP Crawford. If you are a fan of the Mariners, I talk a lot of Mariners on the channel Seattle on Tap. So check it out. It's the middle of the playoff race. Big game today, Saturday right now. Big game for playoff implications. We're selling that shirt. Let's fucking go. We have the blue ski mask shirts for the Seahawks. We got the wind glasses shirt. Any support means the world to me. SONTshop.com, SONTshop.com. If you're trying to support me and my business and my YouTube channel, it would mean a lot. And if not, if you don't have the money to do so or you're not interested in anything, just go put your email in those boxes. Trust me, you will be entered into our weekly giveaways. We're going to be doing vintage Seattle Seahawks, Mariners, Sonics gear. Like vintage throwback, like 1990s hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts. It's going to be pretty fucking sick. We're going to do 1 or 2 a week, whatever we can find. It's hard to find a good piece of vintage, but we're going to do it weekly and get it out to you guys. Back to the video. One of those guys that are coming back is Jamal Adams. Now, what do you expect from Jamal Adams is a humongous question and something that's really hard to technically break down. Jamal Adams has had trouble staying on the field. I think it was his first season in Seattle where they made the playoffs and he had the cigar, and the hyped up press conference. And, it was an awesome experience for him considering the fact that he had never been to the playoffs with the Jets. Since that year, he can't stay healthy. Now, I'm not hating on that. Football is a hard game. I'd probably be injured within 4 seconds of being on an NFL football field. But he just can't stay healthy. I'm saying it just as a factual thing. So what do I expect from Jamal Adams? I don't know. I don't want to set too high of expectations, but I do expect him to be good. So what I'm saying overall is I'm just hoping for health, and I'm hoping he can get back to somewhat of what type of football player he was pre all the injuries. Because for him, it's been really hard. And he said it himself in a heartfelt press conference. He said that last September he was in a dark place, and it was a really humbling experience for him after this injury, and he even considered retiring. Jamal Adams knows this has not been a cakewalk. This has not been, anything easy for him. This has not been the way that he wanted it to be in Seattle. He went from a guy that Seattle traded multiple assets for, really good assets. I think one of them is Garrett Wilson now on on the New York Jets. He was a big piece for the Seahawks, and they gave him a lot of money. But he's had trouble playing, unfortunately. Now he's back, and now he's got to do whatever he can to be productive. Bobby Wagner's excited about him coming back. He said his energy on the field is so contagious, it builds up and uplifts the whole team. Even when he is being on the sidelines, he is creating a lot of energy for us. He also said, it's so fun having him out there on the field, making plays. Obviously, he's a great blitzer, able to make plays in the pass game, so just another playmaker that's going to help our team. Now, this is the biggest point that I'm looking to make today. I don't know how good Jamal Adams is going to be as a safety, quote unquote. I don't know if his PFF safety ratings are going to be good. If he can get to somewhat of the level that he was at before injury, they're going to find a way to use this guy and use him really well because he is a playmaker. I think we mentioned this on our podcast, me and my brother, the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. You can check it out in my links always. It's on our YouTube page at Seattle on Tap, or you just got to look around my stuff. You'll find it. We mentioned that he's like the Taysom Hill of defense. Now, it's a weird example, right? But Taysom Hill is considered a quarterback. But he's not a quarterback. Taysom Hill is not a quarterback, man. Taysom Hill is just Taysom Hill. He just does stuff. He does some running. He does some throwing. He does some QB sneaks. He does a little bit of everything, like a tight end sometimes. Jamal Adams, if the Seahawks find a way to use him right, I think the way they're going to end up using him is that way. I think he's going to blitz. I think he's going to drop back sometimes. I feel like he's going to be in the box, outside of the box, hybrid linebacker. If he's going to be used the right way, and if we're going to be able to use all our guys on the team, because we have Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, one of our problems is a little bit on the defensive line, a little bit linebacker depth. Having a hybrid guy that can blitz sometimes, drop back sometimes, kind of be somewhere in between from all layers, from safety to linebacker to the line blitzing, is going to be really beneficial. But now, if he doesn't do well in his return, it's going to be really questionable to what the Seahawks have to do the next couple of years because they paid him a lot of money, and we're expecting him to be a boost to this defense. I'm not going to set the expectations too high, but you expect him to make somewhat of an impact. Now, let's get into a couple other things. Let's talk about the Seahawks rush defense. They allowed a season low 44 rush yards last week against Carolina and 3 rush yards per carry, helping them, that was in the whole season, helping them rank third in the NFL in opponents' yard per carry average. And this is why it's important. There's two key aspects to this game, injury-wise, that I'd like to mention. Saquon Barkley is likely not to play. This New York Giants team last year, remember when they were good and Daniel Jones looked really good and all these things? It's because Saquon Barkley was playing out of his mind and he carried this football team. Right now, we have a big loss for the Giants, which is left tackle Andrew Thomas is out officially against the Seahawks. And then Saquon Barkley is essentially doubtful. They're going to test him out on Monday. But you're talking about their best left tackle, their best offensive lineman, starting left tackle Andrew Thomas out. Saquon Barkley, ankle, most likely out. The way the Seahawks defense has been playing, I'm not saying it's great. It's not the best defense I've seen out of the Seahawks, don't get me wrong. But they are currently third in the NFL in the best rushing defense, yards per carry. Tennessee is number one at 2.63 yards allowed per carry. Cleveland, 2.79. And the Seahawks are at 2.94 yards per carry allowed. I mean, we're talking about an extremely good. That's above Philadelphia and Detroit as well. The Seahawks have been great. The defensive line, last week especially, even getting pressure on the quarterback, has looked so much better. Now, week one, the biggest issue was it wasn't the run game. It was the pass game. We didn't have Devin Witherspoon. We've had a lot of injuries, and there was no pressure on the quarterback. Last week, we had pressure on the quarterback. We don't allow yards in the rush, and Devin Witherspoon was playing great, even with Woolen out. And the whole defense was clicking on most cylinders. Now, Andy Dalton's not easy, so he did some damage, but we were clicking. And I think that's what's exciting about this week as well. Before I get to the offense, let's talk about this. The Seahawks have some injury reports. They are going to be missing Artie Burns, corner, and Trey Brown, corner. But it looks like Tariq Woolen's going to play. So you're going to have Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen out there. You're going to have Quandre Diggs, Julian Love, Jamal Adams. You're going to have Bobby Wagner, and you're going to have Jordan Brooks, and you're going to get a lot of these pieces. Now, you do have Kobe Bryant doubtful at corner as well, so the cornerback position could be dealing with some depth issues here. But still, from what we did last week without Tariq Woolen, to have Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen together is phenomenal. Charles Cross is doubtful as well on the offensive line, but that is all right. The offensive line has stepped up humongously. I am surprised, shocked, whatever you want to call it, to what this offensive line has done with their two best offensive linemen out. It has been remarkable. It's been one of those weird things where somehow when your two best players on a position go down, everyone filled in and did just as good. I don't know how it's worked out for us, but it has. But Charles Cross, remember, what's beautiful about this game is if we get a win Monday against New York, we're going to go 3-1 and have a bye week next week. And get people back. Abraham Lucas will have time to get back. Charles Cross will have time to get back. You're going to get people like Kobe Bryant, Trey Brown, a bunch of other guys time to heal up. Now, we have some questionables, of course. Noah Fant's questionable. Evan Brown, the center's questionable. But we have Olusegun Oluwatumi behind him if we need. Will Dissly's another tight end, questionable. But we also have Parkinson. But I'm sure one of them or two of them, they might all play. Derek Hall is questionable, and Draymond Jones is questionable. Now, that's the one part. If Draymond Jones is hurt again, it could be a little bit of an issue on that line. But once we get through this bye week, this defense that's already playing way better than its expectations, once they get some of those rookies moving, if you can get Mike Morris some action in there and like get him, looking like he did in college, and Draymond Jones going, and get Derek Hall making some plays, and you got all the corners and safeties in the world that you could ask for, we have the offense now. Now, the offense has been beautiful, right? Kenneth Walker was like 60 receiving yards and 90-something with 2 touchdowns, carrying the offense. He's been phenomenal as a second-year guy. I think it's really helped having some stability with like a Zach Charbonnet behind him, be able to pick up some good carries, get everybody some rest, get back in there, and play well. But this offense has been phenomenal. Right now, we had back-to-back games scoring 37 points. That was against Detroit and Carolina. And the Seahawks ranked 4th in the NFL in points per game. We have 29 points per game. And listen to the teams that we're here with. Miami is at 43.3 points per game, but that's also because somehow they scored 70 points against the Denver Broncos, which 70 points in the NFL is insane. You have Buffalo, 30.3 points per game. You have San Francisco at 30 flat. Seattle at 29 points per game, and Dallas at 28.7 points per game. So the Seahawks with 37 back-to-back games is killing it. 4th in the NFL in points per game. Our offense is on fire. So everything is clicking. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And you look, like I said, Kenneth Walker's a guy that he has the most rushing touchdowns. He's second for the most rushing touchdowns in his first 14 starts in franchise history. Sean Alexander had 13, Kurt Warner had 13, and Kenneth Walker has 12 in his first 14 starts. We have Geno Smith playing great football. We have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett playing great, and we have Jackson Smith and Jigbo, who's been frustrated. It's been a little frustrating because he hasn't been able to play up to his potential yet. But he is also, once he gets clicking, we're talking about Kenneth Walker, a generational running back right now is looking like. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, generational receivers. Jackson Smith and Jigba, if he just shows up a little bit and gets some good plays. I know he's been open a lot, but just whatever, the chemistry's not there yet. That will be crazy. Jake Bobo caught a touchdown. You have 3 high-quality tight ends, 2 high-quality, and Parkinson's also a good one to have out there. And a great backup running back. The offensive line is going to get healthier. The offense in total is going to click. Offense is starting to click really well. Defense is so much better than last year. Why would we not beat the New York Giants? If all expectations are that this team is a playoff team and is good and, moving in the right direction, you have to beat the Giants on Monday Night Football, and I am expecting them to do so. So, go Hawks, beat the Giants. For real. Go beat them.